First contact and invasion. They arrived on a Tuesday morning. No warning, no communication attempts, no diplomatic overtures, just the sudden appearance of massive obsidian vessels that materialized in Earth's orbit like phantom ships emerging from the mist. The Jorians, as humanity would later learn to call them, didn't believe in announcements or declarations of war. In their culture, true superiority was demonstrated through action, not words. The first attack came exactly 17 minutes after their arrival. The skies above Shanghai shimmered with an eerie violet light before a beam of concentrated energy pierced the clouds, carving through skyscrapers like they were made of paper. In the span of 30 seconds, a city of 26 million became a smoldering crater. Across the globe, screens flickered with the horror unfolding in China. News anchors struggled to maintain composure as footage showed the impossible, an entire metropolis gone. Before governments could even organize emergency sessions, similar beams struck Tokyo, Mumbai, and Cairo. By nightfall, Earth had lost over 70 million souls. Defense systems worldwide activated in a panicked response. Missiles launched. Fighter jets scrambled. Nuclear options were frantically debated in underground bunkers, yet nothing came close to threatening the alien vessels. Missiles disintegrated miles before impact. Jets lost power and plummeted when they approached, and nuclear warheads were somehow neutralized mid-flight. The Jorian fleet expanded over the coming days, their sleek ships spreading across the skies like an obsidian net. Their message was finally delivered through every communication device on the planet simultaneously, a monotone voice speaking in perfect, accentless English. Your world has been selected for resources. Resistance is inefficient. Your species lacks value. Evacuation is not permitted. Dr. Eleanor Way, an astrophysicist who had previously worked for NASA before the budget cuts pushed her to the private sector, watched the message replay on her tablet from the hastily established underground command center in what used to be a missile silo in Montana. Around her, military officials and scientific advisors argued in increasingly desperate tones. Our most advanced weapons don't even register on their sensors, General Hammond said, his voice hoarse from hours of shouting orders that led nowhere. They're picking us off city by city. At this rate, we have maybe 3 weeks before half the planet is uninhabitable. Eleanor barely heard him. Her focus remained fixed on the tablet, where she had compiled every scrap of data on the alien ships, their positioning, the energy signatures before attacks, radiation readings, and atmospheric disturbances. Something wasn't adding up. They're not as invincible as they want us to believe, she finally said, her voice cutting through the chaos of the room. Heads turned. General Hammond paused mid-sentence. What did you say, Dr. Way? Eleanor stood, connecting her tablet to the main display screen. Look at these readings. During each attack, there's a specific radioactive signature that spikes just before they fire. But more importantly, look at the ships that haven't attacked yet. They're emitting a constant low-level frequency that interferes with our technology. She pulled up a global map showing the locations of intact communication systems. These shouldn't be working, not with the level of tech disruption they're capable of. But they are. Why? Dr. Kaido Nakamura, a quantum physicist who had narrowly escaped Tokyo before the attack, leaned forward. You think they have limitations. I think they're bluffing, Eleanor said. Their ships are powerful, yes, but they can't simultaneously attack and maintain their defensive systems. That's why they're picking us off systematically rather than all at once. They don't have the energy reserves. General Hammond's expression darkened. Even if that's true, we still can't get close enough to exploit it. The moment we launch anything, their defenses detect it. Eleanor smiled for the first time in days. That's because we're thinking like humans. We're trying to attack them directly with our existing weapons. But what if we developed something they wouldn't recognize as a weapon at all? That conversation was the birth of Project Chimera. For the next 2 weeks, as the Jorians continued their methodical destruction of Earth's major population centers, a desperate plan took shape in underground facilities across the globe. Teams of scientists, engineers, and military specialists worked around the clock, communicating through improvised channels that mimicked natural electromagnetic phenomena, patterns the aliens wouldn't recognize as human communication. The plan was both elegant and desperate. Instead of trying to penetrate the aliens' defenses with conventional weapons, they would turn Earth itself into a weapon. Eleanor's team discovered that the Jorian ships were highly sensitive to certain gravitational and electromagnetic fluctuations, the same sensitivity that allowed them to manipulate energy so effectively. If humans could generate the right kind of pulse, they might be able to disrupt the alien systems long enough to strike. The challenge was creating a device powerful enough to generate such a pulse without alerting the Jorians to its purpose. Traditional energy sources wouldn't work. They'd be detected and destroyed immediately. They needed something the aliens would dismiss as background noise. The breakthrough came from an unexpected source. Dr. Raj Patel, a geophysicist who had been studying Earth's magnetic field reversals. "What if we don't build a new energy source?" he suggested during one of the daily briefings, "but instead harness one that's already there. One the aliens can't possibly shut down without destroying the planet they want to strip for resources." The Earth's core, a massive, spinning ball of iron, generating the magnetic field that shields the planet from solar radiation, contained more energy than humanity could ever artificially produce. If they could somehow tap into it, amplify its natural fluctuations, and direct those amplifications toward the alien ships. Project Chimera evolved into a global network of devices planted at key points along Earth's tectonic boundaries. Each device was disguised as weather monitoring equipment or seismic sensors, technology Vijorians had largely ignored as primitive and harmless. Each contained specialized equipment that could channel and amplify the Earth's natural electromagnetic pulses. The installation was dangerous, covert work. Teams deployed under cover of darkness, moving through territories already ravaged by the aliens. Many never returned. The devices themselves were cobbled together from available technology, a mixture of cutting-edge quantum components and surprisingly analog solutions. 17 days after the initial attack, with over 40% of the world's major cities destroyed and an estimated 1 billion human casualties, Project Chimera was ready for activation. The remaining world leaders gave their authorization, knowing that failure would likely mean the end of human civilization. Eleanor stood in the Montana Command Center, surrounded by holographic displays showing the status of each Chimera device around the world. The plan required precise timing. All devices needed to activate simultaneously to create a global pulse strong enough to affect the alien fleet. "We have one shot at this," General Hammond said quietly. "If it fails, or if they realize what we're doing." Eleanor nodded. "Then humanity joins the dinosaurs." She took a deep breath and opened a secure channel to all Chimera stations. "This is Dr. Wei. On my mark, initiate Phase 1. 3, 2, 1, mark." Across the globe, operators activated their devices. For several tense seconds, nothing seemed to happen. Then the readings began to change. The Earth's magnetic field, normally stable with minor fluctuations, began to pulse rhythmically, the amplitude increasing with each cycle. On the screens, they watched as the alien ships continued their operations, apparently unaware of what was happening. A Jorian vessel positioned above what remained of London prepared to fire. "They don't sense it," Dr. Nakamura whispered. "The pulse is building, but they're not reacting." Eleanor checked the readings. "The frequency is still rising. We need to hit the resonance point." Her voice trailed off as alarms began to sound. One of the technicians looked up from his station. "They're changing formation. Multiple ships are repositioning. I think they've detected something." "Hold steady," Eleanor commanded. "The pulse is almost at critical amplitude. Phase 2 in 15 seconds. Around the world, Chimera operators prepared for the second stage. the release of the built-up energy in a concentrated burst directed at the alien fleet. The seconds ticked down as the Zorian ships continued to shift position. "They know," General Hammond said grimly. "They're trying to locate the source." "Too late," Eleanor replied as the countdown reached 0. Phase 2, now. The command went out. Across the planet, the Chimera devices simultaneously redirected the amplified electromagnetic pulse upward. For a moment, the air itself seemed to shimmer, a visible distortion rippling through the atmosphere toward the alien vessels. On the monitors, they watched as the pulse reached the first Zorian ship. Its surface flickered, obsidian turning momentarily translucent before solidifying again. Then another pulse hit, stronger than the first. The ship's outline blurred. "It's working," Eleanor breathed. "Their hull integrity is compromising." A third pulse struck. The Zorian vessel shuddered visibly, its perfect form distorting like melting glass. Similar effects appeared across other ships in the fleet as pulse after pulse hammered their defenses. Then came the counterattack. The aliens, finally understanding the threat, diverted all power to their weapon systems. Energy beams lanced down toward Earth, targeting the areas where the pulses originated. "They're going after the Chimera stations," someone shouted as readings from devices around the world began to go dark. Eleanor watched the displays, her heart pounding. "Keep the pulse steady. We only need to maintain it for another 60 seconds to reach critical resonance." More Chimera stations fell silent as alien weapons found their targets. The pulse weakened but continued to build toward its final frequency. On the screens, the alien ships showed increasing signs of distress, their surfaces rippling and tearing like fabric in a hurricane. 30 seconds to resonance, Dr. Nakamura announced, his eyes fixed on the countdown. General Hammond placed a hand on Eleanor's shoulder. "Even if we succeed, we've lost too many people, too many cities." "But humanity survives," she replied, her voice steady despite the trembling in her hands. "And the next time someone comes to our world thinking we're easy prey, they'll remember what happened to the Zorians." The countdown reached 0. The final pulse, combining the energy of all remaining Chimera devices, surged upward toward the alien fleet. What happened next would be remembered as humanity's darkest hour and its most triumphant. Turning the tide. The pulse hit the Zorian fleet like a tsunami striking the coastline. The alien vessels, their defenses already compromised by the earlier waves, had no time to adapt to this final devastating surge. From monitoring stations across the globe, humans watched as the obsidian ships began to fracture, hairline cracks spreading across their surfaces like ice breaking on a spring lake. The Zorian command vessel, a massive structure 3 times larger than any other ship in the fleet, fought against the effect longer than the others. Its hull rippled and distorted but held together, until it didn't. The crack that finally appeared at its center spread outward with increasing speed, splitting the vessel like an overripe fruit. No explosions followed. No dramatic fireballs lit up the sky. Instead, the alien ships simply disintegrated, breaking down into particles so fine they resembled cosmic dust. This dust, trillions upon trillions of microscopic obsidian fragments, began to rain down on Earth, creating a spectacle that survivors would later describe as black snow or the ash of gods. In the Montana Command Center, cheers erupted as the monitors confirmed what they were seeing: the complete destruction of the Zorian fleet. People embraced, wept, shouted in triumph and relief. Humanity had survived. It was Dr. Luz Hernandez, a microbiologist who had been analyzing the particles' interaction with Earth's environment, who offered the first glimmer of hope. These particles require very specific conditions to reactivate. They're designed for vacuum and near-zero temperatures, space conditions. Our atmosphere is hostile to them. She displayed microscopic imagery showing particles breaking down when exposed to Earth's environment for extended periods. They're deteriorating in our humidity, our temperature fluctuations. Earth itself is fighting back. This discovery shifted their strategy. Rather than attempting to collect and contain the particles, an impossible task given their global distribution, they would accelerate their natural deterioration. Project Chimera, originally designed to generate electromagnetic pulses, was repurposed. The remaining devices were reconfigured to produce specific frequencies that would accelerate the breakdown of the nanomachines. Additionally, atmospheric dispersal systems were developed to increase local humidity and create temperature variations that would stress the alien technology. For the next month, humans lived under black skies as the particle cloud lingered in the atmosphere. People remained in shelters, venturing out only when necessary and always with protective gear. The sight of the dark snow covering once familiar landscapes became an enduring symbol of how close humanity had come to extinction. Then something unexpected happened. In regions where the Chimera devices have been operating longest, the particles began to change color, shifting from obsidian black to a dull gray, then to a silvery sheen that reflected sunlight in mesmerizing patterns. Analysis confirmed that the particles were not just breaking down, they were being transformed by interaction with Earth's environment. The nanomachines, designed to function in the sterile environment of space, were being colonized by terrestrial microorganisms. Earth's microscopic life was essentially digesting the alien technology. Dr. Hernandez identified the primary culprit, a previously unknown strain of bacteria that had evolved to consume the unusual metals in the particles. These bacteria reproduced rapidly, spreading through the particle cloud and accelerating its breakdown far beyond what the Chimera devices could achieve alone. Life found a way, she explained, unable to hide her amazement. These bacteria shouldn't exist. They've evolved specifically to consume materials not found naturally on Earth, and they've done it in weeks rather than millennia. The implications were staggering. Earth's biosphere wasn't just passively resisting the alien technology. It was actively adapting to consume it. Humanity had an ally they'd never considered, evolution itself. As weeks turned to months, the particle cloud thinned, revealing blue skies for the first time since the Jorian defeat. The silvery dust that settled on the ground proved to be inert, the nanomachines completely neutralized by bacterial action. More surprisingly, the areas where this dust concentrated showed accelerated plant growth and soil regeneration, as if the processed alien technology was somehow nourishing Earth's recovery. 6 months after the invasion, as the global rebuilding effort gained momentum, the transformed particles delivered one final surprise. Scientists studying the dust discovered that it contained complete records of Jorian technology, biology, and history, information stored at the quantum level within each particle. The aliens, it seemed, had unintentionally left humanity their entire knowledge base. Eleanor stood on a hilltop outside the rebuilt scientific facility in Montana, watching as the sunset painted the sky in shades of orange and purple. The silvery ground beneath her feet glittered like scattered stars, a reminder of how close they had come to extinction. General Hammond, now heading the Global Reconstruction Authority, joined her in silence. After several minutes, he spoke. The translation team made a breakthrough today. They've deciphered the Jorian star charts. Eleanor nodded, unsurprised. How many worlds have they conquered? 17. We were supposed to be the 18th. He paused. They weren't the only advanced species out there. Not by a long shot. And now we know where they all are, Eleanor replied. Both friends and enemies. The general's expression remained grave. The question is, what do we do with that knowledge? The Jorian technology could give us interstellar capability within a decade. Do we venture out there, risk encountering something worse? Eleanor considered this as she watched the last light fade from the sky, revealing the stars above. Stars that no longer seemed quite so distant or unreachable. We go, she said finally, but not as conquerors. We go because we've learned something the Jorians never understood. True strength isn't about technological superiority or military might. It's about adaptation, cooperation, and finding unexpected solutions. She gestured to the glittering ground. Earth taught us that. Even in our darkest hour, When all seemed lost, life found a way forward. General Hammond smiled slightly. "I'll tell the Council you support the exploration initiative, then." "With one condition," Eleanor added. "We bring the bacteria with us. Wherever we go in the galaxy, we bring Earth's resilience along." In the years that followed, humanity rebuilt and expanded, incorporating the salvaged alien knowledge into a new civilization more advanced and more united than before. The great cities rose again, but differently, designed to work with the environment rather than dominate it, a lesson learned from watching Earth's microscopic life defeat technology far beyond human understanding. When the first human starship launched from the Lunar Construction Facility, 8 years after the invasion, it carried a diverse crew of scientists, diplomats, and explorers. In special containers within the environmental systems were samples of the bacteria that had saved Earth, humanity's smallest allies and most powerful reminder that adaptation was the true key to survival. The ship was named Chimera, after the project that had saved humanity, but also in recognition of what humans had become, a unique blend of their own ingenuity and the lessons learned from both their enemies and their own planet. As Chimera accelerated toward the stars, humanity looked outward not with fear, but with confidence. The universe was vast and filled with wonders and dangers beyond imagination. But humans had faced extinction and emerged stronger. They had turned an invincible armada to dust, and then transformed that dust into the foundation for a new future. Whatever waited among the stars, humanity was ready. Not because they were the strongest or the most advanced, but because they had learned the most important lesson of all. Together, with each other, and with their world, they could overcome anything. The journey had just begun.